The following program contains views that are not those of WVTC, iNetworks Communications, their subsidiaries, affiliates, or financial supporters.
There, fam. Welcome to You Plant, We Water. I'm your girl, Dr. Toya Flowers, licensed professional counselor with a specialization in couples and family counseling and a professor of counseling. And this is my distinguished co-host.
Hi, I'm Trisha Flowers. I'm her sister, and I'm a minister and a lifestyle coach.
Absolutely. And you know, in this part of the world, we focus on faith, mental health, and healthy, thriving relationships, right? How do you combine all of that to get the rewarding life and relationship that God truly does want you to have? So having said that, we've been doing this for a while now. We should probably check to see how many episodes we have and then have like a little, anniversary party or something like that. But having said that, we've covered a bunch of things: love languages, communication, trust, infidelity, you name it, we've gone there. But today we are going to be spending some time talking about something that grips way more than half of the American population, right? This is the most prevalent form of mental health issue, and that is anxiety. Oftentimes anxiety, you can have depression and anxiety at the same time. So that's what makes it the most prevalent. But anxiety is something that we all deal with. So we're going to talk about anxiety, fear, and worry. Having said that, I want to let you know that I had personally decided that I was going to work on my own sense of worry and fear about the future by engaging in something that I called the Faith Over Fear 90-Day Challenge. I shared this with my sister, who was like, I want in on that. I shared it with our executive producer, Bishop Lloyd Kohler, pastor of Mission Covenant Church. He said he wanted in on that. I shared it with another viewer. They wanted in on it. And so it was in that moment, through their advice, especially my sister, where I realized this is something we should do with our viewers. So at the near the end, I'm going to tell you about how you can get involved in our Faith Over Fear 90-Day Challenge that we can all do together, so that, we can move according to God's plan, because he did not give us a spirit of fear, right? So having said that, we're going to get started on our topic. I do have, I forgot what it's called, just that quick.
Comment.
From a viewer with a question. So here we go. I'm reaching out because I'm struggling with fear and uncertainty about my partner's past. They've recently opened up to me about some of their previous relationships and experiences, and it's made me realize how little I know about their history. I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed and insecure, wondering how their past experiences might be influencing our relationship. I'm also worried that they might be comparing me to their exes, or that there are unresolved issues that could come up in the future. I'm looking for advice on how to process my feelings and have an open conversation with my partner about their past. I want to be supportive and understanding, but I'm struggling to shake off these feelings of insecurity. How can I approach this conversation without being judgmental or accusing? And what are some ways to build trust and intimacy in the relationship?
So that is a comment, and we're going to do our best to give you guys the information and the tools that we feel like will help you and guide you and navigate through this situation. So, my first input on it is when you're having anxiety and you're feeling overwhelmed, one, do not react right away. Take a moment and just kind of sit with those feelings, because if you don't, then you may end up using experiences that are loaded, right? So you're already feeling a little anxious and excited. And so you sometimes just got to have a day or so. My sister taught me this, a day or so to just kind of process and see how you're feeling. So kind of touching bases with yourself. And my other tip is, when you are talking to someone about how you're feeling, make sure you're using I statements and not doing I do this personally. Sometimes I don't like being vulnerable, so I will use a statement that is not an I statement, and it can be a little accusatory. So I like to kind of address it, but not like I get fearful and I'm like, well, I will do a defense thing where I'm not really being transparent about how I'm feeling. So I'll go to I'm angry, and I'm not necessarily angry. I might be sad or I might be confused or whatever. So those are my tips on trying to make sure that you are using I statements and that you are clear on what it is that you're trying to get across to your mate, which is sometimes challenging.
Yes. So in thinking about your partner's past, and this is why it can be tricky when we do introduce our past relationship experiences into our relationship, because it's understandable that you could be intimidated, right? What we don't know if this viewer is male or female, but either way, sometimes uh, it can be intimidating. It can cause you to question, like, oh, they have so much more experience than I have, or as you said in your question, are they comparing me to their exes? Are there any unresolved issues? All of those things, I just want to normalize your concerns, because those are things to naturally be concerned about. You say, how should I talk to them? And that's where Trisha was starting to share some pieces. I do think you should have a conversation about it, because it is playing out in your mind, right? You're probably creating all kinds of scenarios. You're probably imagining things that are probably far worse than the reality of the situation. And I'm sure your partner will welcome the opportunity to have a chance to talk to you about their experiences and your fears that go along with that. Yeah, when you do that, be open and willing to talking about your past, because they might have questions of their own, because it's not about the amount of experiences. It could be, we were looking at some other comments for some viewers who talked about trauma they've had as a child, right? Those are things that can be intimidating to a partner too. So just approach it with a willing heart. Pray, right? Because of course these things can get sensitive. But if you just share some of the thoughts that you shared with us, right? Like, I'm just feeling a little worried about it, and say that to your partner using the I statements and all of those things, then I think it'll likely be well received. But you're going to need to have the conversation. That's my thinking.
You absolutely. And yes, trust in God's plan, but make sure that you come in with you, right? Because you're the person that's having the anxiety. So you want to make sure that you're touching in with yourself first, and then go out there and proceed. But if you're not, I'm saying this for myself too, when you're not being honest and you're not being transparent, you're getting in a whole bunch of things. And like she said, now you may have created, for me, you may have created a story that's not even anywhere near what you're thinking. So once you are able to just kind of sit in it a little bit, which is a little uncomfortable, it makes it a lot easier to be able to address the real issue, because sometimes it's compounded. Even in this comment, there are a couple of things that the person is concerned about.
Yeah. So, as you know, we'll address things from the petty, professional, and prophetic. But think about petty, and I'm thinking about past experiences. It sounds like our viewer is worried about what the young people now call a body count, right? How many people have you dated in your past? And the higher that number goes up, the more people could get concerned, right? So this is I'm glad your partner told you about the past, because you don't want to go into something dark blind, not knowing. But I don't really have any petty advice other than just, that's what it sounds like. You're worried about the body count. And just talk to them. Like we said, do you have any thoughts about a petty approach?
Oh, sure I do. The petty approach is simply this. It doesn't matter what you had in your past. You have me now. So let's worry about that. That's the petty one. I am never concerned about anybody from your past. You can never compare me to anybody in your past because I'm here now. And you got the best thing because I'm here present.
That part. And the full transparency, they didn't say their partner was comparing them, right?
Yes.
They are thinking that.
Yes.
So that goes back to our point. You don't even know that that's true.
That's true.
So I'm going to piggyback on you because I'm glad you started with the petty. Know that you all that in a bag of chips, right? Like she's saying, whether they're comparing or not, no one will compare. Okay? That's petty. Like, I know you the top. I'm top choice. No. Petty, professional. We already kind of covered some of the professional pieces. Prophetic. What are your thoughts biblically? And then this will tie into just talking about anxiety and worry more fully in a bit. But
so I actually have a scripture and I am terrible memorizing. So I want to go to that for you guys. It's Philippians 4:6. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, pray and supplication with thanksgiving and let your requests be known to God.
Yes.
Once you give it to God, a lot of times that can help with just overthinking, because I feel like anxiety and overthinking go hand in hand. And so if you give it over to God and just kind of sit back in it and just relax a little bit, which is hard.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm going to be going over several scriptures as we talk about this more, but absolutely prophetic, that thing, cast your cares upon him because he cares for you. So even something like this that you might feel silly about, you might be embarrassed to share it with family and friends, but you can go to him with this. And even in this, he will show up and provide that peace that will surpass all understanding. So we hope that helped. I was thinking about the petty part again, because I love what you said about, I'm here now. And one way to think about it, if your partner has had a lot of other previous relationships and they're choosing you, you might be pretty dope, right? Like, do you want a review from somebody who's only had one type of potato chip and tell you the best potato chip? Or do you want somebody that's had a lot of potato chips and tell you are the best potato chip? You're like, okay, I'm pretty tasty. But a lot of what I'm doing, I'm joking and being petty, but what we call that professionally is called the reframe. Think about it in a different way that is more positive, right? My partner has had the opportunity to be in relationship with lots of different people, and they chose me.
And they will continue. No, I'm just
unless you decide you couldn't know, you might just do it. Okay, so anxiety in general, right? I'm glad we had that comment. That's just one way it can show up in your relationships. But when we talk about anxiety, it's really worry. That's what it is. Fear, right? When you're afraid, honestly, of something that could happen. And when we were talking privately, I was telling Trisha, I share this with my clients, and she had come across it in something she saw Steve Harvey talking about. But I mentioned that depression and anxiety are like two sides of the same coin, and often you'll be experiencing both, but you can just be anxious or you can just have depression. When we are depressed, we are overly concerned with the past. We're overthinking about things that happened in the past, and that brings depression. When we're anxious, we're overthinking about the future and what might happen, right? So that's where the worry and the fear comes, because we're overly, our thoughts, we're over focused on what's going to happen in the future. And anxiety is incredibly common. And even as a licensed professional myself, I have to struggle with it my own self, right? I can become worried. I think about the future and all the things, and I want to do it well, and I want my kids to be happy. I want to. So it's an easy thing to slip into, and that doesn't mean you have an actual diagnosis of an anxiety disorder. It's just that this is a part of the human experience. Any thoughts yet, or should I continue?
No, I mean, and the point is, you're going to be anxious at some point. That's why it was in the Bible, right? Because if it wasn't something that we weren't going to experience, we wouldn't have had it in there. There's a whole scripture, lots of them, that deal with anxiety. And so if you are just aware of it, then you can better deal with it, and you can pray about it, and you can ask God to take some of that burden away, because like she said, anxiety is about thinking about the future. And here's the truth. None of us know what's going to happen. So we think we do. We think we're going to wake up in the morning, but that's not promised. So if you can just remember that and know, like, hey, nobody knows what they're doing. We're all trying to figure it out.
Yes, well said. So there's anxiety disorders, right? And then there's just fear and worry. We all become fearful. We all worry. If you move into where you receive a formal diagnosis of an anxiety disorder, that just means that the fear and the worry are impacting your ability to function and complete your daily tasks. That's where you would get that diagnosis of anxiety disorder. And there are prescription drugs and things like that can be prescribed. Me personally, as a professional counselor, I'm not a fan of the drugs. I would prefer you to try to find a way to cope and talk through it, because yes, you can get on these drugs, but are you going to be on them for life? Like, you got to find ways to cope with the anxiety. Otherwise, now here's something you're stuck with. But that's just my own personal soapbox. If you need prescription medication, if your doctor said you should take it, use every resource available to you, but I still would suggest a counselor as well. The other piece I want to say about anxiety disorders before we just talk more generally, anxiety disorders can come along with something that's called a panic attack. Right? A panic attack is a physical representation of overwhelmed, and it often can mimic, like you can think you're having a heart attack. I've had clients who show up in the emergency room because of a panic attack, because there could be shortness of breath, rapid heartbeat, lightheadedness. And the only difference is there isn't anything physical causing the issue. So if you're having a heart attack, you got a blockage. When the doctor says there's not going to be any blockages or anything, so you're having a physical reaction to overwhelm or extreme anxiety. If you experience panic attacks, again, seek an actual counselor to help you out with those things. We're going to be talking more generally just about how do we deal with fear and worry about what's to come, which is a little bit different. So I did want to clarify that, because I'm going to use the word anxiety a lot, but I'm really just talking about fear and worry, not necessarily the bigger piece. So this one really hits home. Like I said, most people, it's a two-sided coin, and you're going to have one that you tend to lean toward. You might tend to think more about the past or think more about the future. I definitely lean towards the future. But my mama tell it, I'm a type A. She was just telling me on the phone today, everything doesn't have to be perfect, because I'm planning my son's prom and graduation, and I got a birthday. And I'm like, oh, she's like, just everything got to be perfect. I'm like, okay, Mom, I got it. But I do tend to go there. And as I mentioned, and I'll share more over our 90-day challenge, it's been a lot. Like, I have had a lot going on personally where it was really difficult. And I've called my sister on many days and said, I'm just so overwhelmed. I don't know. I'm scared. I don't know what the future holds. So it's I just want to normalize the experience for anyone. And I have tools. I know what to do when somebody comes to me with not just fear or worry, but an actual anxiety disorder, right? So we're just going to talk a little bit more about what we might try. Hello, Corey. Things that could be helpful from all angles, right? I know for me, and I just alluded to this, but having somebody you could talk to can really help, what I want to say, bring down the level of worry, because sometimes we're worrying about things that are so far ahead that are like, if this happens, then this could happen, then this could happen, then this can happen. But you don't even know if that first thing's going to happen. So it can help to have somebody pull you back in. Any thoughts about any of this, Trish?
Yeah. So the thing that I would say is, when I was thinking about myself, when I'm anxious, I have to always remember, like I said, you do not know what's going to happen. And that's the one thing that helps me to stay balanced, right? I know that at any moment, what I thought the plan was going to be is not going to be that way. And so that does help me to stay focused. And it also helps when I'm talking to other people. And it shocks them when you tell them right away, like, well, you don't even know if you can be here tomorrow. And it's like, what? So if you're planning all of these things for the future, which you are supposed to plan for the future, but you're also supposed to know that you have to be present. And when you're present, it's really hard to worry about the future because life is actually happening right now at this moment. And so for me, it's really hard to go somewhere when I'm trying to figure out right now, once we leave this show, what am I about to eat? So that's the future. No, just kidding.
About being, that is key, right? Bringing yourself back to the present moment. That is what this whole mindfulness movement that you probably heard, but that's all it is. It's like if you're off thinking, oh, what's going to happen? And then they say, look at 5 things in a room. All you're doing is bringing yourself back to this moment, the here and the now. And that's incredibly helpful as far as trying to deal with the worry. And that is why we are doing this Faith Over Fear 90-day challenge, because I'm going to be honest, if there's no fear, you can't be courageous. So there's nothing wrong with being afraid, right? You can't be brave. I used to tell my kids that when they were afraid of them, like, oh, I'm scared. I don't know. I have to speak in front of the class and I'm really afraid of it. This is your moment to be brave. If you weren't afraid, it wouldn't be a feat, right? It wouldn't be like you were courageous. It would just be like, oh, you don't mind talking in front of people. So conquering a fear is an amazing thing. And that's what we're going to try to do. And we're going to do it together, because just imagine what could happen over this next 90 days if God's people all collectively start working on calming those fears, getting rid of those obstacles that are stopping you from going to the next level, that are stopping you from pursuing that dream that God put in your heart years ago, but you're afraid, that are stopping you from working on your marriage or relationship because you're afraid you're going to get hurt. We're going to suspend that and lean into our faith. We're going to be sharing. So one, if you're interested in joining us on the challenge, please visit our Facebook page where there will be information and opportunity for you to sign up. Again, it's going to be over 90 days. We're going to share several scriptures that you can meditate on and read daily. Each month, there will be about 3 scriptures connected specifically to worry. Sis, you mentioned one, another one. Don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. That's Matthew 6:34, right? So what we will be doing during the challenges will be making sure that we're reading those scriptures, committing some. There might be one that really sticks with you that you want to keep and memorize, or keep at your nightstand right when that worry hits. We're going to share tools that you can use to activate your faith instead of your fear. And then we're also going to, let me look at my little thing. I'm getting this ready for us, y'all, because I feel like, I know for me personally, and that's why God put it in my spirit, the fear was, I was acting out of fear, which gave me results that were timid and fearful, right? I wasn't moving according to God's plan. In every situation where your fear or worry is triggered, that's where we're going to really lean into our faith during these next 90 days. We're going to be encouraging you to find a prayer partner, somebody to be accountable with, and then to do the projects. Maybe you've been waiting to go back to school, but you were worried or fearful about it. Now's the time, right? And we're going to do it together, because iron sharpens iron. Any thoughts, sis, just about any of this? Anything I missed about? I think I told them to go to our.
You did tell them to go to our page, and then like, here's some science. She's usually the science person, but I want to be the science person today, so I'm taking it over. Your body is divinely set up by God, and everything that you're feeling and every sensation that you're feeling is intentional. And so I recently came across a post on Facebook where it was saying, you know, our sweat tells us things, and in our supernatural, we're not aware of it, but we are. Like, we kind of know, like, something feels off, but I'm not sure. So they did a quick little study, and they had people work out for 30 minutes in a sweatsuit, and they had other people jumping out of a plane in a sweatsuit. And the people were able to identify in their amygdala, their brain, fear from the smell. So that is a scientific proven point, right? So when you're feeling weird or anxious or insecure or whatever the feeling is, there's a reason behind that. Lean into that and try to get over some of these fears. You're not crazy. You're not, because we tell ourselves like, I should just get over that. Like, no.
Right.
You should lean into that. And with God, it will be revealed. So be careful on what you're asking, because this, and I'm saying this prophetically to you. You are going to hear from God. You are going to hear from God. So if this is not what you want to hear and you don't want to be, you like being in the fear spot, some of us do not do this. If you want to hear from God and you want to be healed and made free to soar, do it.
Do it. Like, you just never know where God will. Literally, this started as something I was just going to do for myself. And in 2 days, from just being still, calming down, and having faith over fear, now I know this is something I should share with other people. This is just the tip of the iceberg for us all. And we cannot wait to see what God is going to do in everybody's lives. I can't wait to hear about the wonderful things and how you're conquering your own fear. So again, visit the Facebook page where there will be information on how you can sign up to be a part of this 90-day challenge, and get the resources and tools. And then throughout the various episodes, we'll be checking in, and we're not going to talk about it for the entire 90 days, but we will check in and things like that and see how we're all doing. And who knows, maybe at the end of the 90 days, we'll have a special show.
And we look forward for the testimonies, right?
That's been great. I'm excited about it.
We are looking and moving in God's word, right? So that's the greatest thing. And it did come from her. And we were just on Latricia. So Latrice's, I'm trying to say my name in her name at the same time.
Latrice.
Yes, never mind. So we were talking about being still. So that's how we know that God is in charge. It's not us, right? This is our ministry. We're here to serve and make sure we're being obedient. And in our stillness, we're moving. We're moving in a new direction.
Yes. So we can't wait to have you join us. For as a few other quick announcements, again, we'd like to thank our executive producer, Bishop Lloyd Kohler, pastor of Mission Covenant Church. Speaking of Mission Covenant Church, would you like to talk about the event?
Sure. We have an event space, and you guys are free to come and look in. We have our own Facebook page for that, Mission Covenant Church Event Spaces, and we are looking forward to serving you and doing all things in honor of God.
Yes, I would encourage you. If there is something that you might need space for, the church has been recently remodeled. It looks amazing. So definitely check out that Facebook page. There are 2 sanctuaries at Mission Covenant Church.
Yes.
So there's a fellowship hall, there's a commercial kitchen. So take a look at it. You'll be surprised. And having said that, we will soon be providing you with information about the first retreat.
We're very excited, as you can see.
The target date for that is, I think it's June 28th, but I need to double check that. And so we'll be giving you more information. And the retreat is an opportunity to come together and set aside some dedicated time to do some work around all kinds of things that we've been talking about: faith, fear, anxiety, relationships, thriving, healthiness. We're going to cover it all and hopefully come out more strong and better on the other side. So, as always, it's truly been a pleasure. I think we've made all of our announcements. Do not forget to visit our Facebook page, which is just called You Plant, We Water. And there you will find the information about the Faith Over Fear 90-day challenge. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. If you're currently worrying and dealing with anxiety, remember, God has got you. You have every tool you need to get through this. And remember, think about something that was difficult that you got through in the past. Just like you made it through that, you'll make it through whatever the future has in store for you. Thank you for joining us. As always,
we were going to do it together this time, guys. You plant, we water.
Go to your Apple or Google Play Store and download the WVTC Gospel Radio app today. You can also say, Alexa, play WVTC Radio Skills.
Would you like to play WVTC Radio Network?
Absolutely. Download it today.
Views made on the preceding program are not those of WVTC Radio, iNetworks Communications, or their financial supporters.
Winning victory through Christ, WVTC Allsip Chicago, and iNetworks Communication Station.